we will take roll call now. There is a new policy for roll call that we need to actually say, state your name and that you are participating via Zoom from East Lansing, Michigan. So I guess I should call roll for everybody. So let's see, is Laura here?
Yes, Laura Scale, zooming in from East Lansing, Michigan.
Awesome. Okay, Tedda, how about you?
I am zooming, Tedda Hughes, zooming from East Lansing, Michigan.
Awesome, thank you. Heather?
I'm Heather Mahano, and I'm zooming in from Lansing, Michigan.
Hey, there you go. All right, Karen, you're up.
Karen Jennings here, zooming in from East Lansing, Michigan.
Awesome, thank you. Gabby?
Gabby Kindig, zooming in from East Lansing, Michigan.
Awesome, thank you. Abby, you're next.
Abby Taikaki, zooming in from East Lansing, Michigan.
Great. All right, getting down. Matt, you're next.
Matt Borgie here, zooming in from East Lansing, Michigan.
Great, thank you. And Megan?
Megan Holland, zooming in from East Lansing, Michigan.
Great, thank you. And Austin?
Austin Pabian, zooming in from East Lansing, Michigan.
Great. Okay, and Jane. Oh wait, and I see Jesse too. And it's so Jane, can you? Are you there?
Jane Stone, coming from DeWitt, Michigan.
Hey, okay. And Jesse.
Jesse, attending virtually from East Lansing, Michigan.
Great. All right, you guys. Thank you. So let's see. The approval of the agenda for November 19th, 2020. Do we have a motion?
I motion because it's my birthday.
Oh, sorry, Ted. I'll second then. Abby Taikaki seconds.
Great. Thank you very much. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great.
Aye.
And all those opposed? Nobody. All right. Thank you. And then how about the approval of the minutes for today's meeting? Or no, sorry, approval for the minutes of October 15th, 2020.
Karen Jennings, I move that we approve the minutes from October 15th, 2020.
Great. Thank you, Karen. Do we have a second?
Laura Scales, I second.
Awesome. Thank you, Laura. Okay. All those in favor of approving the minutes for October 15th?
Aye.
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 And opposed? Okay, we are moving right along. Reports, Chairperson. I will throw in that just a quick update for dealing with the liaison to the city in trying to help activate the downtown to help save some of these businesses. Adam made the which I thought was super shocking at the time, the statement that we could stand to lose up to 60% of the businesses downtown because of this pandemic. Wow. Which is mind-boggling. And yet, I'm walking downtown all the time and businesses literally are shuttering. It's something that is happening really in front of your eyes. And so Adam Cummins is phenomenal. I was just telling Heather, he is super, super fun. He's got a ton of energy. He is working so hard and it's like trying to herd cats. He's working with so many different organizations. And he's got a ton of great ideas and he's a super great listener. So it's really been neat to see him orchestrate this whole affair. He's developing I'm not sure if you guys were all up to speed. I think I said last time he was talking about starting 6 different parklets, which are small parks with not a lot of infrastructure, but some that will be put into underutilized areas around the city. All of those will come with some infrastructure, as I said, meaning like tables, picnic tables, benches, fire pits, Adirondack chairs, screens for social distancing, lighting, things like that. And it really, really is phenomenal. And hopefully, I guess the thinking is it would be wonderful if all of this happened as of yesterday, but now in light of the fact that there's new restrictions, a lot of the programming has to be put on hold. there was going to be a pop-up market with like 30 different vendors in the parking garage underneath the Marriott. It's coming along. We've got the paint on the walls, and I mean, it's still a parking garage, right? But you're protected from the elements. It's watertight, right? So we're going to have K through 12. Art teachers do art exhibitions down there, hopefully involve MSU as well. Have the performing arts do like the orchestra and the band, and hopefully some theater as well. Do different performances. And like November 22nd was supposed to be the kickoff, and now because of the situation, all of that has to be put on hold, because with 30 vendors, say each vendor came with 1 or 2 people, you're already talking 60 people, so nobody could come to said pop-up market. So anyway, that's where we are in the scheme of things. Does anybody have any questions specifically about anything, or no? That's about the extent of it. Yeah, but anyway, I give him like all the credit in the world, because he is really, really fun to work with. He's just got a great attitude, and he's like, if it doesn't happen now, it's gonna happen in the spring. So it's at least laying the groundwork to have some really great programming in place for the spring. So, and if it happens earlier, then all the better. But the one thing that we are for sure going to do is the art teachers are going to have to do printouts, because they're all virtual. They don't have any of the actual artwork. Students are submitting their artwork digitally. They will print out their artwork. We just got a grant from the high school East Lansing Parent Council. So that, in addition to hopefully the East Lansing Educational Foundation will chip in some money as well, and we'll print out the artwork. So then it's not the original, which is, a little less nerve-wracking hanging it up in some places that may not be supervised 24/7, but to put in the empty businesses downtown, the empty storefronts, as well as in the businesses. So that's exciting, and that hopefully will draw people down more passively, not an organized big group of people. But if your kid has something hanging in a window, then maybe you're going to go down and you're going to stop by Clever Clover and buy some earrings and get a coffee at Blue Owl and spend some money. That's the hope anyway. So anyway, that's where we are in the scheme of things there. How about council liaison? Jesse, what do you have?
Hey.
Hi.
Let's see what's happening. Yeah, so you touched on the stuff that Adam's working on. I'm working with him too. And we're all kind of brainstorming how to get as many businesses through this as possible.
Yeah.
We're hoping for some more bailout type loans and grants and things like that. I'm getting more contacts from individual business owners that are in distress. We've got a couple people who have been skating by on their rent, and the landlord is like, okay, 8 months is too much. I kind of would like you to pay up. And they're like, okay, well, I kind of just got shut down yesterday. So stuff like that, which there's just no great solution for it, right? But we do still have some PPE loans available, and there's a few new grants that have come up. And so just kind of trying to get people to the resources that they need. And then, Adam's got a pretty ambitious program, getting heaters out in front of businesses so they can continue their patio stuff. Everybody wants us to build these igloos. And it's kind of like, okay, you do realize that means it's not outside anymore, right? Like, we can't do that. So probably won't be building igloos, but we will be putting, trying to extend our outdoor seating areas as much as possible so that people can do as much takeaway as possible. There's some interesting, development wise, there are some interesting projects with some potential new partners. I don't know how ambitious we want to get about contacting businesses and telling them to get involved with the arts, but we just on Tuesday, we got the word that TechSmith, which is a big app development company that's currently out in Alden Township, kind of right off of the Jolly Road exit off of whatever that highway is. I don't know. You guys know. I don't.
127?
Yeah. That
okay.
One. But they're going to move their headquarters. Well, it's not final.
That's what I was gonna say. Is
Yeah,
it final or no? It's in the works.
It's not final, but I think there's a good amount of traction. So, I mean, I would give it a 80% chance of going through it.
Okay.
So they've got a spot that they're working with MSU campus, which is actually where Spartan Village used to be on MSU campus over by,
Oh,
I can't remember the road, but anyway, it's off of Harrison and then I can't remember the cross street, but north of Trowbridge.
okay.
So, you know, that would be potentially very exciting. They're a really community engaged business. It's a large business, 200 people or so on that campus. And they've demonstrated that they're solid community partners as well. So, you know, they would be on the MSU campus, but they are still technically within the boundaries of the city of East Lansing. So really hoping that that goes through. Very excited about that. Really cool potential new, community partner.
Absolutely.
We're still hoping that that building will happen on schedule. We'll see what happens. They're hoping to break ground in January, but they've got a little bit of a snag with a neighboring property owner who wants some easements, construction easements, because they're going to be building right up against his property line. So
Do you think that will be worked out?
I mean, I hope so.
Okay.
You know, it seems like one of those problems that money can solve. So I hope that that's what happens. But
Okay.
you know, I never know exactly how this stuff will go. So, you know, I really don't hope that it is enough to derail it. But you know, some
Yeah,
people
but we're
are
living
just getting their way.
Yeah.
So those are the two big kind of exciting new things that are happening. Mostly we're just kind of COVID survival tactics, I think is mostly what we're dealing with. I don't know, is there anything that I can answer questions about?
Anybody? Questions?
Oh, I interviewed a new possible member for you guys to replace
Oh, great.
people that will be leaving in January. I'm going to try to give you guys a full complement going forward so that you don't have a quorum problem, but we'll see. So if you guys, I think there is still one potential vacancy. I don't want to kick Megan and Matt off too soon, but it would be nice if we had replacements waiting in the wings. So if you guys know of any potential interested party, we've got at least one vacancy that hasn't yet been spoken for. So, and then we also do still have a vacancy on our art selection panel. So I've got two possible seats for arts interested people in East Lansing. If you want to direct them towards the board and commission application, that would be great.
Okay, great.
And I'll just hang out. I'm still working, but I'm listening. So.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Jesse. Okay, committees. Do we have any info from committees? I don't even know that we officially have committees. So I think we're good there. All right, scratch that. Commissioners, anything? Abby?
Just a short update on the Pincana sculpture competition. I reached out just to ask if there were any updates, and the only update is that the RFP is out.
Okay. Have they gotten any?
They have not received any, but it's not due until December, so that doesn't mean there aren't several sculptors working on things, but they did ask.
Where'd they put it out?
You know what? I don't have that information, although I did share. I think if you go, like I shared via their Facebook page, they posted it there definitely, and I shared that on my personal social media. So they just asked if commissioners could help spread the word, get the word out. I also sent it to over to the Lansing Arts Gallery and to the director of the Arts and Cultural Management Program, and asked her to share it with the art history and design folks. And so just anything we can do to help get the word out, I'd be happy to send around information so you guys can share it more readily.
Their construction looks good. I mean, that's really coming along.
Yeah, it looks nice.
So has it been shared with the Greater Lansing Arts Council?
I don't know.
Yeah, that would be a great resource because they actually have an email list of artists they can put it out to do.
Right. I haven't directly asked. I just assumed that they would do that.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure they're aware of the council.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. Okay.
But I can always ask and just make sure, because that would be a huge opportunity missed if they haven't.
Right, totally. That would be super sad if people don't. I mean, what happens if, or I guess they cross that bridge when they get there. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Well,
Um,
thank you.
And then one other thing on a Arts Commission related level, but not directly related, tangential, I don't know. But Heather Mahano came and spoke to my arts and cultural management class
Yeah.
yesterday and gave some real great takeaways to the students. And they're really excited about the East Lansing art scene now. And she even pitched applications to join the Arts Commission. So I just wanted to thank Heather for doing that for my class. It was wonderful.
Nice, Heather.
Thank you for having me.
And Jesse Gregg is going to be our next guest speaker in a couple weeks.
Hey, look at that.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Staff liaison. Moving right along, Heather.
Alrighty. I just have a few things. The Center City has that gallery space in their, what do they call it? The pedestrian corridor.
Yes.
And right now they have up a show, and they've collaborated with the Michigan chapter of the National Alliance on Mental Illness to have a rotating show in there. So their new one will be up the week of Thanksgiving, and they wanted to invite you all to come down and take a look at it. It'll be up for a month or two. And then the MSU Broad will be having a new show up in they have a new one right now, but they'll have another new one in February called Seeds of Resistance. And there is a little story quote from me in it. So all the opportunities are coming my way. Thanks to the Arts Commission. But
well, they should.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about the actual show. It's like nature is art, which is me. So I was excited to be a part of it. I was going to tell you that there'll be a new commissioner in January and still one opening. The art festival, we have about 60 applications so far, and the early bird deadline for applications is November 30th. So we just sent out another mailing. So we should be getting in some more. There's usually quite a big leap that last week of November.
Okay. Is that on track? Is that about normal to have 60?
Tim and I were talking about it today. We're a little behind, but not that far behind. So we're only behind by like maybe 2 or 3. Karen?
So Heather, COVID is kind of my life right now. So realistically, are you simultaneously planning a virtual festival as well right now?
Yeah. Yep. And
because I don't think things are going to happen in May.
You're not
That's
really? Yeah.
I don't know. Mm-mm.
We're definitely not expecting it to be 200 vendors downtown. We're hopeful that we can have some level of in-person, because if we don't, then we don't get booth fees from the artists. But obviously health and safety is priority. So we want some level of in-person, but we are ready for a virtual show as well.
Okay.
Laura?
I just did the Handmade Detroit Festival and craft fair. Yeah, it was so much fun. It was all digital and it was actually wonderful. So I'm happy to share experience from the other side of doing that. But yeah, it was more beneficial than I thought it would be, and it was also like a nice like low stakes kind of if you did end up wanting to do a combo.
I've been following them as an example too, and actually several people in my life are getting Christmas presents from several other vendors. I really enjoyed it.
But I have all the back end, like I have the mailer they sent me and all the emails
cool.
and stuff. So if that's helpful, I'm sure that they would be fine with spreading the love out.
Yeah, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Just remind me, because I might not remember.
So originally Wendy had said that there was supposed to be a pop-up farmers market this weekend. Obviously that's not happening, but we are having a drive-through pre-order pickup opportunity at Valley Court Park. 3 of the vendors felt that they would have enough interest in that it would be worth their time. So there'll be apple blossom kombucha, Where the Wild Things Are, which isn't one of our normal farmers market vendors. She's a florist in Old Town. And Jenny Sweets and Treats will be at Valley Court Park. So if you want anything from any of them, just DM them and ask for it. That's all I did for Wild Things. So payment is over the phone or Venmo or anything like that. And then you have a 4-hour window to pick it up. Is there a question? No. Okay. And lastly, Wendy Longpre and I met with planning last week, and we're working to get updates from the developers before the end of the year so that we can give you a final year-end developer update and a final year-end budget projection.
Right.
We did receive a donation from one of the developers on Grove Street. There's a couple right there right now. So your public art fund is growing. And so I'm hopeful that we can have that for you in December along with your updated attendance sheet as well. But nobody is close. Laura was close, but we were expecting that and she's back. So we're all good.
Great. Okay. All right. Anybody have any questions for Heather? Are we good to move on? All right. So next is communication from citizens. Justin, do we have anybody that?
Yes, so we've got a couple people in the queue. So for anybody listening to the meeting right now, I know that several of you are calling in to speak specifically on behalf of your grant application. I do need to go through the entire list. So if you're calling to speak on behalf of your grant application, just indicate your name and what the application was that you applied for. And I'll make note of that, and you will be permitted to address the commission during that section of the agenda. Otherwise, if you're just calling in for general public comment for anything pertaining to the commission, you will be permitted 5 minutes to address the commission based on the time limit that was approved in this commission previously. So I'm going to go down the list one by one at this point, and the first person is a phone number ending in 530. Just unmute by dialing *6 to address the commission. Again, phone number ending in 530. If you could unmute by dialing *6.
So I'm just going to say one thing. So that's actually my wife, who just came down and told me that there's like a 30-second to a minute lag.
Oh, wow.
Between this, and she came and she played it for me and showed it. And it was like a minute-ish back. So I'm hoping she'll catch up. She's not in the same room. I'm in the basement. She's upstairs. But yeah, she did just come down a few minutes ago and tell me that.
That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and I hear.
I'm right here on the phone, but the landline, and it's *6 unmuting me.
She's on a landline. She's here right now, actually. She's here on a landline, and *6 is not unmuting her.
Okay. But that is that Pam Weil?
Yes, it is.
All right. Pam is just addressing during the grant application process, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. We will. I will connect with you while they're working on the other business to get you set up during that portion.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next person is Dedria Humphreys. Okay, we will.
Hello.
I will connect. Hi there.
I got 2 machines going, so I think, okay, I got that one cut off. Let me shut this one down. All right. Hi, my name is Dedria Humphreys, and I am here to speak to my application for a 2021 Cultural Arts Grant.
Okay, and which application was that going to be for? What was the project name?
The project name is The Lovely Bars.
Okay, perfect. I have note of that. And when we get to the grant applications, we will call you back, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and the next person is Diane.
Hi, I'm Diane, and I'm here for the grant application. I'm the Stepping Stones Montessori Orff and Schulwerk Ensemble.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. I've got note of that, and we will bring you back into to address the commission when we get to the grant portion.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Jennifer?
Hi there, this is Jen Vanderheim. I am here to speak on behalf of the grant application for All of Us Express Children's Theater.
Okay, thank you so much. All right. And Carla?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Carla Forrest Hewitt. I am here to speak on behalf of the East Lansing Kindness Rocks Garden grant application.
Thank you, Carla. The last person in the queue is Susan.
Hi, this is Susan Woods with the East Lansing Film Festival and the Lake Michigan Film Festival, and I'm talking for my grant.
All right, thank you, Susan.
Thank you.
Okay, Wendy, there are no other people in the queue, so that is the end of the public comment.
Okay, great. All right. Moving right along, business items, ordinance 1339. We do not have any applications. The 2021 meeting schedule. Heather, am I just reading these, or are we just making a motion to approve that schedule?
It's a motion to approve if everyone is on board, I guess. The only thing I did want to say about it is that there was discussion this morning about the April date in staff meeting. So typically our meetings are the third Thursday of the month. The April meeting is often the same night as the Crystal Awards. And so we usually move it to the fourth Thursday.
Okay.
And that is what I reflected here in this schedule. However, we may be changing the date of the Crystal Awards to later in the year so that it can be outside. So we may, it's up to the commission obviously, but we could go back to the third Thursday for April and then hope that the Crystal Awards work around us later on.
Heather, the city manager did give permission for us to explore the later timeline for the Crystal Awards, so it's unlikely that we will have that ceremony in April.
Okay, all right. So thank you, Justin. So it's up to the commission. We can leave it on the fourth Thursday in April, or we can move it back to the third Thursday, which would be, please stand by. It would be the 15th, April 15th.
I guess my gut call would be to keep it all consistent and keep them, you know, the third Thursday, but anybody else have any feelings one way or the other?
I would second that.
Okie doke. All right, so
I would support that too.
okay, just keep it consistent. So do we have a motion to approve the East Lansing Arts Commission 2021 meeting schedule?
Hedda Hughes, motion to approve the 2021 meeting schedule.
Awesome, thank you, Hedda.
With the change of the date in April.
Oh, with the change of the date. Great. Okay, yes. Perfect. Do we have a second?
Yeah, we can take second.
Oh, great. Thanks, Gabby. Super. All right, great. That is done. Now,
Wait, we have to vote.
We need to vote.
oh, sorry, scratch that. Yep. All those in favor? I did so well on the first couple and I lost it. Okay, all those in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Awesome, thank you. And those opposed? All right, moving along. Now we've got cultural arts grants. The reports, the 2019 reports. Heather, what is the protocol here? Are we just, everybody read them? Are we kosher and we are, again, approving these reports? Is there need to be a motion?
You don't need to approve it. It's just for your information.
FYI, okay.
And if there's any questions, you can ask them.
Does anybody have any questions? Nope. Okie doke. Now we are moving on to cultural art grants applications for 2020, which was super varied and super interesting. And Justin, do we just go through each person now?
Before we do that, I just wanted to point out there are 3 late applications.
Yes, thank you.
That the commission needs to decide to accept or not. And we do need a formal motion before we can move forward with the grant discussion.
Discuss it first.
And the 3 applications are the Lovely Bars and then the 2 ceramic studio applications.
Well, I don't see why we would exclude them, but I think we should probably discuss it, right? If somebody has a different opinion.
Yeah, does anybody have any strong feelings as to, not, I guess let's go on the negative. Does anybody have any feelings as to why they should not be in the running? Karen?
So I'm inclined to say that a deadline is a deadline, and that for the integrity of the program, I'm not sure that we want to set up a precedent of we have a deadline and we want you to get it in, but if you don't, we'll take it anyways and offer it our full consideration. I believe that I'm recalling that there was a time when there was a late applicant that we did not accept for consideration a couple of years ago.
That is the
I would say that, pardon me? That we have
so that is a precedent, okay.
Yes, so I would not support accepting them at this time because they did come in late.
Okay, Abby?
As a college instructor who has spent her semester making concessions because of the fact that the world is so topsy-turvy right now, I would be in support of allowing the applications. But I do have to say, I have not had an opportunity to give them my full consideration. I gave them a cursory read through right before I logged onto this meeting. And so I don't know if I'm prepared to properly discuss them along with the applicants who turned them in by deadline.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, I guess I would agree with Karen. A few years ago, we had a late application from, typically an applicant who is a shoo-in for a grant, but he got it in late and we decided, too bad, you're not going to get the grant. To me, the most basic part of a grant application process is making the deadline. And if you don't do that, I worry about other aspects of your proposal. Can you follow through if you can't make the deadline for the application? So I plan to vote no on accepting them.
Okay.
I would just like to echo what Abby said, just in terms of the world being topsy-turvy and everyone being a little more flexible on deadlines. Normally I'm right there with you that you have one job and that is it. But I do feel like it's important just to give some leeway. I also did not have a chance to fully look through. I think I glanced at titles. However, I do feel like that might be an appropriate repercussion for them having come in late. So.
Okay, yeah. Heather?
Something that you could consider as an alternative, you could not accept the grants tonight, but there is money remaining. So you could set up a second deadline. They could just return in their applications, but it would be open to other people as well. And then you would have time to review the grants if that's what you wanted to do. So this is your grant process, so you can do it however you want to do it.
I would be fully in favor of that because we've already had 2 people say that they didn't have a chance to give a lot of consideration to the late grants. I know I didn't. So I probably won't even be part of the next process, but I think that's a great idea, Heather.
I also think that's a great solution.
Mm-hmm. And I would agree with that, Heather. And, you know, in looking at the applicants that we got, we have some that have requested more than the 15% limit. You know, I feel strongly about that too, that, you know, the budget is the budget. And, you know, I think last year we wiggled around with that a little bit, but I just feel like dollars are very scarce and we have to be good stewards of the taxpayer dollars. And
so are you suggesting eliminating them or bringing them down to 15%?
I'm saying that we not fund anybody over 15%.
Oh, of course not. Oh, yeah. Okay. But we still consider those applications.
Well, no, not the late ones, not the late ones.
So the ones that are requesting above 15%.
Yes. Yeah.
The application, but don't obviously allocate more than we put them on notice that we would. So for me, when it comes down to it, it's about notice, but it's also about enfranchisement. So if some of the people that are applying are not, you know, veteran grant applicants, and so I do understand deadlines matter and that the rules of the budget matter, but as long as we give notice of what our expectations are, and we're okay with any sort of wiggle room that we establish, I think that it's fair. So the solution that Megan came up with, I think it was Megan, it was Heather, of, you know, just tacking them on to another meeting and then reviewing and giving other people the opportunity that they're getting, because that would be unfair to just say, oh, okay, you were late, but, you know, we'll just throw you in here. So I see that fairness, but it's also, you know, we got to understand that these are human beings, and a lot of people, this is their first time doing something like this. So if we know it's 15%, we can do the math, cut it in half, I think.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so does anybody else have any comment on this issue before we have somebody make a motion for what sounds like we're in favor of? Heather's suggestion of giving an extension, not considering the few late applications tonight, but giving an extension, opening it up to anybody else in the community. And it would be for the remaining money that we have left after tonight. Karen?
I have just a question for clarification with that. When I think there's a difference between extension and having another grant cycle that we establish. And I guess I feel more comfortable with that than just saying we're just going to extend it. And, you know, if more people want to jump on, okay. But that it be a little more formal. It's another round of funding.
So
within this,
so you're saying
year.
You want it to be another round, not an extension.
Yeah, and that way you can publicize it again, open the process up. If it was difficult for people to make this deadline, then we're giving them a second chance. And maybe we need to publicize the grant better than this time. I mean, I know I put it on my Facebook page, you know, I hope everybody did, but I was surprised at the lack of applications this year, frankly.
I don't find it surprising given that it requires a lot of forward planning to apply for a grant, and nobody knows what's coming right now.
Right. I mean, I know I saw, what was it? It was in LSJ or I don't know, Town Courier or something, that the notification for the grants was like, or the opening for the grants was like, I think Sunday. So that's definitely, it was after by a couple weeks when I saw it publicized that the grants were open. So, I mean, honestly, the thing that the question mark for me would be if we do an extension, or not, I'm sorry, not an extension, a different, like how long, like another cycle, like, I mean, what is the likelihood we can proceduralize that in, I mean, and I'll be gone very soon, but in 3 to 6 months? I mean, so are we talking about a different cycle? Because honestly, I think I would vote with Abby and Laura that let's just, there's more money, let's give it a shot. If they're East Lansing centric, let's give them consideration.
Okay with that if people are cool with the extra time, but I also will say, as someone who writes grants all the time, a lot of these people expected certain grants potentially that didn't get funding, you know, and they don't find out to the last minute and they're like, oh God, let me go find another one somewhere. Eek! You know, so I really do want to err on the side of open-mindedness if we can, benefit of the doubt kind of thing.
Okay, Abby?
I'm wondering if we could, could we move that, you know, because if we extend it, that means we can't vote on anything tonight, right?
No.
We'd have to create a new grant cycle.
If you extended this grant, then yes, we couldn't vote on anything. But if you created a new grant cycle,
yeah, right.
Yeah, it would be my recommendation to, in the motion, select a date.
Right.
And
could it be something as early as something we vote on next month, or is that too quick of a turnaround?
I'm thinking like February, maybe.
Okay.
Would be enough time to get the word out for people to write it. And
it would only be with the funds remaining after the decisions we make tonight, correct?
Right. So
that does give them an advantage to those who met the deadline.
Right.
And so one other thing too, I mean, I'm sorry, but I definitely suffer from like not remembering things, but we're hanging our hat on this anecdotal precedent that we kicked one back in the past, but I have no recollection of that. Heather, can you confirm or deny that happened?
Yeah, it was the pump house.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He got it in like a week or two after he sent it to Wendy, and she presented it to you all, and the decision, I don't remember, it was a split decision, but the decision was to not accept it.
Okay.
I am asking a quick question. I just got a text that Diane Seil needs to leave. She's having a concert, with a virtual concert with her kids at Stepping Stones Montessori tonight. How long do you think the grant process will be? Do you think she'll be able to get on the flip side of her concert? Any idea how long that, like, I've not, I just observed this meeting last year. Does anybody have a recall as to typically how long it takes?
It can go very fast and it can go very slow.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then
but Wendy, she just needs to do her 5-minute presentation, right? Is she saying can we let her do that now before she leaves, or does she have to leave right this second?
I just got a text from the principal saying Diane's got to go, but I don't know what time it actually starts. So Justin, can you see if she is there? And
I think that, to be fair to all participants, we need to continue with the current procedure.
Okay. Scratch that, Justin. Sorry.
Sorry, bad idea.
It was a good idea.
I for the ride. Yeah. Okay. So we'll just see if she's able to come back on the flip side. Would that be okay? If we call her in the order, but she's not there because she's at her concert, can she call again?
Yeah.
Or is that okay?
Yeah, she can come back in. Yep.
Okay. Great. So where do we stand on the issue of the, do we have a motion? Are we to a point where we can get a motion together regarding the late applications?
Are the two options, just so I make sure I'm clear, the two, it seems like we were discussing 3 different ones, but the two seem to be, well, obviously don't accept any late applications, period. Accept the late applications with the understanding that we haven't had a chance to give them a full read. And then the other being extend the application, the leftover money for this grant process to everyone for another round of applications. Is that correct? So we would be voting between extending using the leftover money and extending the application process, or doing late applications tonight and then voting the winner of that against, yes, we're doing this, like, yes, we're accepting late applications at all, or no, we're not. Does that make any sense? Am I speaking in tongues?
Oh,
So we have 3 options. Are we voting for one of the 3, or are we voting for 2 and then pressing the other ones against?
Somebody can make a motion about one of those 3.
Okay.
And then go from there.
Okay, Abby, I see you.
Yeah, I just wanted to add one more thing. I would vote for creating a new grant cycle with the money remaining from tonight, mostly because there could be other artists out there that wanted to apply but saw that they missed the deadline. This provides a level of fairness to them as well.
I agree with you.
Second that, Abby, if you're making that motion.
Yes, I move that we would do that, and I like Heather's suggestion of February being a deadline.
Second.
Wonderful.
Wonderful. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Yay. Okay. Good stuff, everybody. So now, Heather, are we good to start hearing from the applicants?
Yep.
Okay, great. So now, Justin, ball's in your court.
Sure. How do you want to go through this? I do have a hand raised from Deidre, so I'm going to bring her in because that was one of the applications that I believe was considered to be late. Is that Deidre?
Thank you. My question is, mine is one of the ones that was late because for some reason it did not go through. The pictures did not allow the email to go through, but be that as it may, my question is, should I stay on the line to speak, or am I out of it, or where are we?
You are invited to apply for the new grant cycle that we've created. And you can, since you've already given me your application, you can update it. Or you can just let me know that you want that to be your entry, and then I will keep track of that for our February meeting / new grant cycle deadline. But all the guidelines and everything will be the same. So.
Okay, I just wanted to know if I should stay in anticipating speaking, but it sounds like, no, I won't be invited to speak this evening.
You will have an opportunity at the February meeting to speak again about your application.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so is there a specific order that you would like me to go in?
Heather, do you have a feeling on that? Do we just follow the way that they came in on the? Does it not even matter? Can we? I mean, we could just scroll through if we.
It doesn't matter. The only ones that are the late ones are.
You know what? Oh, I was just gonna say, if is Diane still with us? Her concert starts at 6:30. If it doesn't matter what order we go in.
I see her on the list still. So Diane?
Yes, I'm still here.
Oh, yay, Diane. Great.
Hi, thank you. I appreciate the invitation tonight, and I appreciate your work as an East Lansing resident. It's wonderful to have this. As you had heard, my name is Diane Seil, and I'm the music lead teacher at Stepping Stones Montessori, which is on Beach Street here in East Lansing. We're a nonprofit toddler through 6th grade Montessori school, and we offer full and half day care for toddlers through 4-year-olds and full day classes for kindergarten through 6th grade. We're a Montessori school, but we have very good art, music, and nature discovery additional classes. Today, I'm asking to look for funding to begin an ORF, Schulwerk music program and ensemble. I'm asking for just a little over $3,000 to help fund the purchase of ORF and percussion instruments. ORF Schulwerk instruments are specific instruments that are designed to be used by children of all ages. They include mallet instruments, glockenspiel, xylophone, metallophones, a very wide range of drums, shakers, and percussion instruments. And what's really nice is Montessori and the ORF Schulwerk learning methods really do complement one another because they both encourage active learning, creative, exploring expression of the child. And they both really start with the idea of play. And as you were talking, the challenges that the schools are having right now with COVID and music programs are quite high because of COVID and how it is spread. We're very limited in our singing and our chanting, and we're very, very conscious of social distancing and keeping things at a proper distance. So since not being able to sing and we're limited to the type of instruments we use, the ORF Schulwerk method and instrumentations give us more opportunities to continue music classes in person in a safe environment. I'm looking to develop an ensemble that will be able to perform. One of the main performances that I'd like to begin with is a passage ceremony, which is at the end of our school year, where in Montessori, there are developmental planes that we celebrate the children passing from. There'll be a set of songs that everyone in the community will be able to play on the instruments. And we also invite our alumni back to help celebrate their passage in the different developmental stages. And they in turn would be able to come back and be a part of this ensemble and this work. Other ideas that we've had are to be able to perform at the Arts Festival, to be able to perform at the Folk Festival like they used to have, and Winter Festival, and to be able to take our instruments with us and have other children be able to use them, because again, they're children-friendly instruments. And in doing this, we're also going to develop, I have a plaque that will acknowledge our contributors to the program, and that will be placed in our front entrance of our school. And then we will have a banner that announces who we are. And underneath there, it's also, we're looking at our sponsors who has helped us develop our program. I've spoken with a number of music teachers in the East Lansing Okemos area, and I am working presently with West Music, and they are out of Iowa for purchase.
30 seconds remaining, please.
Yes, thank you.
Diane, if you had anything else, you have 30 more seconds to finish up your thought.
Oh, the idea of doing this was to be able to create a program for our children and be able to extend it out into the public and show different ways of creating music.
Great. Okay, thank you, Diane.
So I had a question about public access. I know that COVID is a concern, but so you would be able to perform potentially at the folk festival or the arts festival, but it sounds to me like you're looking for funding for instruments for the students, but I'm looking for a little more defining of the plan for the public having access. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. The instruments that we take with us are instruments that can be, I'm thinking of at the Arts Festival or they had down in Valley Court, they had a whole children's section down there. And these are instruments that can be taken there and can be played in those sections. And we can wipe down mallet instruments. We can keep instruments so that the children are able to play them and have access to them.
I see what you're saying. Okay, so you're saying you'll have a safe process for the public events, and you would use the instruments for all of these purposes, for the classroom, for the ensemble performance pieces, just for all of it.
Yes, I would.
Okay, got it.
So Diane, am I muted? Diane, could you talk a little bit about how, I think in your budget, you said that $5,000 would be from other grants. Have you secured other grants, or it's your goal to secure other grants?
I have applied. I applied to the MSU Federal Credit Union, and they had said they are not funding school projects right now. I'm in conversation with Auto Owners Insurance as to funding that. And I have spoken with the Tarpoff Foundation, and just very, very beginning talks with them about having them help fund this. I belong to the national and the local ORF organizations, and I will be getting my training this spring. And I know that once I am a level 1 teacher and trained, they also are very supportive of their program, and I will be able to secure funding from them also.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else have any questions? Diane? No? Okay. All right, Diane, I hope the concert goes well. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for letting me go early and give me an opportunity to speak with you all. Thank you for your work.
Great, thank you.
Bye-bye.
And do we have the next person up?
Yep. Okay. So I'm just going to go down the list that I have of the grant application. So the next person will be Jen Vanderheim.
Hi, thanks so much for having me tonight. I am Jen Vanderheim. I am currently the vice president of the All of Us Express Children's Theater nonprofit board. If you're not familiar with All of Us Express Children's Theater, it's a partnership between the nonprofit and the city of East Lansing. And we are requesting about $3,500 to help fund our spring production of Charlotte's Web. So we have 4 main stage productions each year. And we currently are putting on virtual productions. So we just completed our first ever virtual production. and are starting this week on production of our next one, which will also be virtual, which will take place in February. We have high hopes that Charlotte's Web will be in person, but this past week has probably dashed a lot of my hopes for that. So we luckily we have a lot of great systems in place to run these virtually. And I'm happy to share some of those details with you if you're curious to hear more about it. So I did include two budgets for you. One would be our in-person budget, and one would be our virtual budget. And they do, each one would ask you for help funding different items because they have different needs. But regardless, across both in-person and virtual, we still are trying to give our youth opportunities to participate in cast and in the acting, but also on crews, creating props and sets, costumes, designing makeup, running the sound. And we're, even with our virtual shows, we're doing all of that. It's just that they're creating Zoom backgrounds, and the youth are putting their own makeup on at home. And we have quite a system of creating kits that go out to crew members to create the things they're creating, and then they have a deadline and bring all those back, and they get redistributed so that each cast member gets their kit, and then they're recorded in Zoom. So so if we do meet in person, we're requesting support in our cast and crew supplies, as well as some theater rental space. If we're meeting virtually, we're asking for support in the same supplies, but then rather than theater rental, in some rehearsal space, because we are hoping to have some of the groups, like costumes, it's been really hard for them to meet on Zoom, and also some of the props work to happen in person, socially distanced at the Hannah Center if it's open at the time. So we're really excited about the production, no matter what way it happens. It's been a great opportunity to keep these youth connected to each other. For many of them, this is their home. They often feel more comfortable with this group of youth and adults than they do in a lot of other settings like school. And it also is a resource that we're providing to the community through making theater available, whether it's in person or virtual. If it does happen virtually, we also are going to be looking into a partnership with area schools to help them show the production as a sort of field trip of sorts, because field trips aren't happening, and are even looking into developing some language arts curriculum that can go along with the viewing of the production. So that's all. Any questions that you have?
That sounds fantastic. Does anybody have any questions for Jen about the theater grant? No? Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Okay, the next person on my list is going to be Susan.
Newt. Hi.
Hello.
Well, I guess I didn't have to put on makeup. I thought it was going to be video. So hi, everybody. I know many of you. I'm applying for a grant, $2,500 for the Lake Michigan Film Festival, which was previously known as the Lake Michigan Film Competition. That used to run concurrently with the East Lansing Film Festival, and we found that we were cannibalizing ourselves, that it was just not giving enough focus and spotlight to the Lake Michigan Film Festival. So we made it a standalone event, and last year was the first time we did it, and we had scheduling problems and had to schedule it in January. And that was not a good idea because we got the worst ice storm in history and very few people showed up. So then we postponed the half of it. And that also had a bad weather. So this year, because of COVID and everything else, we have it scheduled for February, but realistically, we're talking about having drive-in or virtual or outdoor when the weather is clement, warm. So it would be May, June, or July. So what the Lake Michigan Film Festival is, we give cash awards to films that are made in the 4 states that surround Lake Michigan. So it's Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, and Michigan. It has become a very competitive platform and festival, and we do have these wonderful submissions from all over. And we also have a student category. So a lot of students from Michigan State, LCC, Michigan, and also Wayne University have applied and are chosen. So it's really it's before, we felt that this wasn't given enough spotlight, and now that it's going to be at the Hannah Community Center with free parking access, we use the large theater, which, as you all know, is wonderful. And then we also use the recital room. We bring in equipment. We have a seminar. We use professors from Michigan State for, like, last one was going to be on international law, but it had to be canceled. But anyway, so we are working towards having something that's great. Any questions?
I've got a quick question for you. How is the budget impacted if you go virtual versus drive-in versus on campus, etc.?
Well, the one of the big expenses is the printing of the program, which would have to be, and bringing in directors, which we would do, virtually or not. I don't know. We're talking unknown territory here. So it would probably be less of an impact if it was a virtual, except for I don't know how much that platform costs. Has anybody done a virtual event? Laura, you said you did. Did you use a special program?
There are a number of different programs out there that you can use at varying price points and all of that stuff. It really varies significantly, but being educationally connected might give you a boost.
Okay.
But I'm happy to make recommendations later. But
no. I could do the homework. I've been approached by different people and everything else.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the virtual programs that I've talked to with other film festivals have not been that successful, especially if we're going to be charging for the tickets. Because people say, I'm not with a whole bunch of group. This isn't a festival setting. No, I would rather not do it. And even though everybody is very comfortable with streaming and all of that, an event like this doesn't seem to translate as well.
So it sounds like you're really leaning toward a drive-in type of setup then. And
Yes.
if that were the case, where would you do it?
We would find probably a wall somewhere, or my dream would be not even drive it, but we would have marked out places in in, let's say, Valley Court. And everybody would be there, and we would have, you know, we would have to charge for it, but not very much, and have it there. That's my vision. But I think that, you know, I'm hoping that we'll be able to use Hannah Community Center. So, but there's also, I have a direct, I mean, there's still running costs that we could apply the grant to for the event to come up. I mean, we're still getting submissions of films. We still have another director who's doing it. You know, they have salaries and everything else. So, I mean, they're in whatever form there is, the grant would be very, very much needed.
Right, there are costs. Okay. Anybody else have any questions for Susan? No? All right. Thank you so much for your time. Okay.
Okay, and then we're going to go to Carla.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Carla Forrest Hewitt. I manage the East Lansing Farmers Market. I put in a grant for Kindness Rocks Garden in Valley Court. We have done something similar to this before, but with regards to how things have gone this year, a lot of normal programming and engagement that the market has had to be put off, postponed, or canceled. So next year, what I really wanted to do, especially since now we're under a second lockdown, as you heard from Heather and Wendy, the pop-up markets that we were planning had to be postponed or canceled. So the idea behind this activity is to bring kindness into the community, engage people in a way where they can share kind words, leave a kind thought in a rock garden, or take it home with them. Initially, I had thought that we would be able to spearhead this sooner than later, but based on how things are going, my thought is to start this new Kindness Rock opportunity at the beginning of next year's market, hoping that we're able to open on time. So the idea is to create kits where people could take home, and this way people can work on their Kindness Rocks in a safe space, and they're not necessarily staying at the market longer than they should. Inside the kits, there'd be a paintbrush, rocks that have been primed, meaning a coat of paint to ensure that whatever artwork they put on is easily seen. And the paint pots, Michael's has these really cool paint pots that come in packages of 24, and you can snap them apart, and each bag can have like 3 different paint colors. Let's see. The Kindness Rocks can translate towards social media. There are other rock gardens in the area. There's another one in East Lansing, and I know McLaren also has one. So the idea is to create a shared community art in little small pieces of art that people can share and give inspiration to others. So if you have any questions, please let me know. That is pretty much the goal behind requesting grant money for this project.
Great. Okay, thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Carla? No? All right. Thank you so much, Carla.
So the last person is just the East Lansing Art Festival. Heather, it doesn't look like we have anybody on the line for the library's application.
Oh, okay.
All right. Hi, I'm Heather Mahan.
Hello.
So the art festival last year, as you know, was virtual. This year we are planning for virtual and hybrid and live, although solely live, it seems like a huge stretch right now. So what we want to do is spend this grant money on children's programming activities. I actually was listening to the Stepping Stones goal of presenting at the art festival. We would definitely be into that. But we usually have the Impressions 5 Children's Museum that organizes and develops the whole theme for the children's area. So this money would go towards that and a performer or two, depending on virtual versus live. One of the cool things that we had at the virtual festival this last year was a magician. He and his whole family were live in the morning, and I think we had about 30 people tuning in for it. So we know that there is an interest in that kind of event, activity, Zoom opportunity. But that's, since you're already familiar with the art festival, that's my goal with the money, is to focus it on the children's aspect of the art festival.
Great. Okay. Anybody have any questions for Heather? No?
I do. Heather, so I-5 for sure is in.
They have not confirmed yet this year. I reached out like a few weeks before I submitted this application and did not hear back, but I think it was at the same time that they were working to reopen the museum. So even if they're not in, then Tim, my assistant, and I we're still having a children's area. But Impressions 5 has been a really good, strong partner through the whole thing. So
Heather, do they provide funding as well, or do they provide staffing and bodies, or?
they provide the staffing and bodies. We do provide volunteers for them, but they see it as an opportunity, a free opportunity for them to get the word out about Impressions 5. So it's kind of an in-kind partnership that we have.
So your assumption is that it will probably.
It's my assumption. I think I would probably give it an 85% chance.
Pretty good chance.
Yeah, so higher than 50, but not 100.
Okay.
Yeah. Abby, did you?
Yeah, I appreciated in the application that there was a new lens on celebrating diversity in East Lansing. I was just wondering if you could speak to any further. I know that the programming hasn't been set, but if there was any sort of clarification around how that might be implemented.
I don't have any specifics yet on who we would hire, what we would do, or anything like that. One of the reasons is because I want to talk to I-5 about the opportunities and make sure that if they are on board, that we are focusing on that aspect of it. The other is that I want to have a diverse music opportunity. And I know that we've worked with someone in the past whose name is escaping me, and they've done a really good job of teaching different styles of dance to the kiddos, which could be fun again. But I want to play off that a little bit more than, say, as much as I love ukuleles, maybe the ukulele aspect of the festival. So.
All right. Any other questions, guys? Nope. Okay. Thank you. So Justin, there's nobody else on the call for the library?
No.
Okay. So precedent, what can anybody speak to that? Does that matter that they're not here, or we just, the grant is submitted, it just was whether there
Yeah,
was
it's not required for anybody to be present to talk about their grant. I did run some math while the other people were chatting though, or sharing their presentation. If you want me to share my math, I'm not a Teta X, Y, Z, but I can work a calculator. So without the 3 applicants, the late applications, we have a total of $12,675 that has been asked for. There was talk at the beginning about making sure that everyone was at 15%, which means that the Stepping Stones school would go down to $1,500 and the film festival would go down, and I'm gonna round, well, you don't have to round up, but a technical 15% is $1,627.50. And when I did the final math, rounding up to 1,628, the total, if everyone is at or below 15%, is $10,303, which means that would leave you $7,197 for your second round.
Not too shabby.
Yeah, that's great. That was really nice math too, Heather.
Well done.
I would just as soon not go on forever tonight. I mean, not that I have places to go or people to see, but
it is your birthday.
Fund everybody at 15%.
I agree.
Yeah, hold that thought. Karen, you're muted. Hang on, Karen, you're muted.
Mute. Okay, sorry. Tada, I certainly don't want to be the one to screw up your birthday. So, and I don't want to stay here forever either, but a couple concerns that I have. One is the funding of the instruments. I'm a little concerned that funding instruments in a school is a slippery slope that we don't want to get on. I think that even though Diane talked about developing an ensemble that would perform publicly, I think that's a long way off from where she is right now in just requesting the instruments. So I'd like to hear a little more discussion about that. I'm not comfortable that this is what is part of our granting purpose. So I have that concern, and I'm, we fund the film festival every year. I feel like we really don't have a lot of clarity on how that would work out if it wasn't at Hannah. And I don't know if that's enough to say I don't want to fund it, but I have some concerns.
Can we focus on just the one school thing right now and then go on to
Sure.
the festival? I'm just curious, would you feel differently? I have my concerns too. Would you feel differently if it was a public school?
No.
Okay. So what you're worried about is the limited audience, the kind of exclusive audience for the instrument?
Right, the exclusive audience. I mean, I think every school in East Lansing would probably love it if someone would buy some instruments for their music program. So, I don't know if that's our purpose to provide instruments for school programs and calling it public art.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with Karen. That was one of my concerns about the Stepping Stones proposal, both that it was over 15%, which we've taken care of, but also that, we're providing instruments for a school that isn't accessible to everybody. Also concerning that, like the other mechanisms of funding for this, program are not yet in place. I'm wondering if maybe in February they could resubmit with additional information and a more fully formed plan for how these instruments would somehow, reach, be accessible to everybody in East Lansing.
It sounded like seed money, and we've done that before, but I hear that was obviously, that's the question I asked. So that was a concern of mine, but I kind of just took them at their word that the goal is a public ensemble.
Oh yeah, I don't doubt that whatsoever.
So yeah.
So I definitely,
go
I
ahead.
definitely echo what Karen and Megan and Abby are saying. And it's definitely a curiosity to me. I clearly, I don't know. I definitely, it's a hard one for me because, music instruments, having been on many school band trips, they get beat up pretty bad through day-to-day use. And I don't know, does the East Lansing Public Art Fund subsidize that? That's a hard one for me to reconcile.
I guess I was thinking of it more as a performing art, because maybe I misheard them. I thought they were talking about yes, when they do have an ensemble that performs, but they would also be doing interactive workshops with people who are attending as a way to because in light of COVID, no one's playing a recorder for the next 2 years. So I think
not true. Our fourth graders are absolutely playing recorders right now.
That's at home.
At home.
Yeah, at home.
Murders.
Driving their parents crazy.
There's definitely a recorder being played in my house.
Oh my God. One, I'm so sorry for all of you. Many drinks. But I think in terms, I thought it was interesting because the drum is actually the easiest way to sanitize something and keep it going. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it, but I do see, what is being said about a school that charges tuition, having public money, and having more than 50% ownership over.
Did we ask them to develop the public aspects more and come back in February?
Yeah.
It sounded like they're trying to come up with a creative way to keep the arts going with COVID and also have this public thing, but maybe it's not fully formed. Maybe we need, to know more about how these festivals, are going to go and how they can participate and be public.
But I think Matt raises a good point that it is a school, well, and Karen too, it is a school situation. And there are PTAs and other school support groups that traditionally raise money for these kinds of things. I can't tell you the number of candy bars I have bought to support school bands. So I just don't know if the Arts Commission money, I don't know. If I'm not going to be on the commission, but I think it's something to discuss whether you want to set that precedent, because then you may have schools all over the city coming at you.
I want to say one thing. You can make that choice moving forward to exclude schools, but that is not in the grant guidelines right now. So I don't think, I feel that would be changing the guidelines to make your decision based solely on that factor.
Yeah, I actually, along those lines, just decided to scroll back up to the exact criteria of the grants, and it's take place in East Lansing, which it will. Must primarily benefit City of East Lansing residents, which I assume the children attending this school are. Maybe that's a piece of information we would need.
I would think not necessarily.
I would not make that assumption.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Maybe we need that additional information. It definitely encourages artistic awareness. If they did the public part of it, maybe if we got more information about that.
I like the idea of, trying to get them to resubmit with more of a public perspective, but I think
and some student demographic information.
It'd be great if they can recontextualize their thing to be public oriented, but it as it reads, it's not. The performances might be, maybe. Then I think the addendum to the proposal needs to be, a schedule of those performances, much like this kind of gets in a little bit of the territory with regard to Bailey. And it's going to be used for this public thing, but you're going to have to pay rent, and there's going to have to be all this. there's like too many strings attached, like that are not defined. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm all for.
You're familiar with instruments. We just did a story for our magazine about stringed instruments. You cannot sanitize them unless you have a UV room. I don't know about drum instruments. So I don't know if that holds up, but again, hopefully COVID's not going to last, forever and ever, and that they would be accessible to other people. But when she said we're going to trade off, we're going to have people try out the instruments, I thought, well, you might not be able to do that for a couple years.
I think the trade-off that, oh, sorry, Matt. In the research that I've been doing on the theater side is that you can wear gloves and play the drum. So like you can wipe down the surface and then use disposable gloves to play, especially if they're children not trying to like actually.
Yeah, and then the other thought too is, I know with my art supplies, if I'm teaching, I don't wipe down every single thing, but if the brushes aren't used for a full week, right? If I spray them, they sit for a week. And I think the thinking is that the whatever germs would be there would have dissipated or what have you. So I can't imagine that, she'd be doing a daily performance, but.
And it will wear down the material, so it won't last as long.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think that the application just isn't flushed out enough. I mean, she hasn't had the training yet. I mean, she really is at the very, very beginning of wanting to do this, and she wants the instruments, which I get, but I think the whole thing of getting trained, developing a touring ensemble of kids from the Montessori school and then performing at things in East Lansing is just a long way off. So I don't know. I will not support this one when it comes to voting.
I have to jump off in a second, but I just wanted to, and I'm sorry I missed the presentations. I feel like I'm really like in and out on you guys tonight, but we have had some awards in the past that have been connected to schools, but I think the difference is that it hasn't been exclusive, like the use of the money has benefited people outside of the school. So I'm thinking like the 517 community darkroom that uses a school facility, but it's open to the public.
The Spartan Tartan Dance School was another one.
That one is definitely, kind of a gray area. I think the thing with them is that their performances were fully public. But that, that is a thing. And then also, All of Us Express is a program that children pay to be a part of. And so it's not a school, but and the performances are public, but the public has to pay for them. So, I don't think it's clearly cut and dry, but I think that the public aspect of it and the performance aspect of it has always been front and center of those applications. If that helps you at all, it might have just made it muddier. And now I'm going to make it even muddier by signing off because I have another meeting to go to. So
thanks.
Hi, Jessie. No, that was helpful, Jessie. Yeah.
So I think, you're doing great. It sounds like, I looked through the applications and they all look great. So I'm sure the money is going to go to worthy people. I trust you guys to make the deliberations. I will look forward to seeing how it's awarded.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Austin, did you have something that you?
Yeah. I mean, I guess for me, like coming from a public school band kid, like whatever funds are subsidized for these percussion instruments, like they last, they get beat up, yeah, but they do last like forever. And I feel like with these funds that are being allocated, it's ambitious to want to have all the public displays and the like the shows and interactive setups and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, like that's going to be a very small % of what they're used for. And like we've said, I mean, it's a Montessori school, like they pay tuition, it's not public, it's not some sort of, and it's not just that it's a school too, but it's not publicly accessible to where kids could like sign up and come in and learn how to play these or play with them during that business's hours. So that would be my concern, is that it's just not for what it should be for.
I also had concerns about accessibility to the public. I feel like my initial instinct was if we have the money and we can support it, then we should. But after hearing what y'all have been saying, I think they are a ways off from being able to do the public performances and workshops. And so I think if they apply in like a year or two, maybe we could reconsider it. But as of right now, I'm not sure that I think it is accessible enough, and that even in COVID that they could even, safely work it right now. So
I'm just rereading her application, and it does say, as a music educator, I'm looking to become certified ORF teacher and will also share my skills with the East Lansing public school system. Now, that is quite a few more students, obviously people that she would come in contact with. But again, does that need to be fleshed out? How exactly would she share her skills?
Yeah, what does that mean?
Yeah, there's no merit to the ambitions is what concerns me.
Yeah. Okay.
I feel like we should say apply again in a little bit and then see where we're at then.
Yeah, maybe establish some of those connections with the public school system and put on a performance or participate in the art festival. Yeah,
Exactly.
to show that it can be done. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and then do we want to go on to the film festival? Karen, what was your concern about that again?
Well, I don't know. First of all, I think February is probably not going to happen.
There's no way that's happening.
Right. So then the rest of it was just very, Susan really doesn't have a plan. I wanted to tell her that, who are the Lansing Media Center, they set up portable screens. They used to do that all the time in Old Town for movies, but it's like, I'm not going to tell her how to do her thing right now. So I don't know. First of all, it's over 15%. And I think that we did give her over 15% last year, but I feel like she doesn't really have a plan for if she can't do Hannah in February. And that concerns me a little bit.
I would echo Karen's concerns. However, I also did some math, and it could be wrong because it's not my thing. So maybe Tedda can check me. But if the application was brought down to 15% from what Heather said, it's about $1,600, which is the total of the honorariums that the grant application mentioned. And so I feel like perhaps in whatever format the festival takes place in, there would be honorariums for the winners, and that is something that is allowed, correct, under the
guidelines
criteria, for the guidelines for the grant. And so I'm wondering if we could still fund this at $1,600 to cover those honorariums, knowing that who knows what format in which place the film festival would take place, but there would still be a festival, a competition, and that there would be first place, second place, third place, and we could fund those honorariums.
Yeah, I see value in the film festival. You look at her program from last year, and it was really fascinating, and it's too bad she really did run into god-awful weather last year.
Yeah, crazy.
And I agree with Karen. I wish she had a backup plan. All of Us Express has a backup plan. But it is a valuable thing to the community. The drive-in thing can be pulled off. The Downtown Lansing Inc. has done it a couple times. They get a parking lot and they set up a screen, and so it can pretty easily be done. And I guess we would just say, if you don't pull this off, then we get the money back.
Right. That goes without saying. And I have a lot of confidence in the history of it. I hate, like, I remember Matt bringing up a couple of times, like, we just keep funding the same things over and over. And if this was this tight competition where, you know, we didn't have money to spare, I think I would be a little more concerned with that. But right now it seems like, let's get some arts done if we can. These applications are, you know, if they're on the line, we can express that to the applicant and say, hey, we need a further developed plan or something like that. But for the most part, I have zero doubt that Susan can pull this off. Like, I mean, I'm glad I don't have to plan it myself, but I have no doubt whatsoever.
Yeah.
Well, how do you all feel about doing 15% for everybody except the Stepping Stones proposal and advising her? Go ahead, Abby.
Sorry, and these are just two like happy things, but I wanted to make sure I got them in there in this public setting. One is that for a hot second before everything got canceled, I was going to be doing lighting for All of Us Express Children's Theater. And I have to say that I witnessed firsthand what they mentioned in their application of being inclusionary of LGBTQIA+ practices, and I really salute that. And I just wanted to draw attention to the fact that they're setting a bar in East Lansing for being inclusionary in that way. So I appreciate it. And then also the Kindness Rocks application. I'm also president of the Pinecrest Neighborhood Association, and we've had a couple of Kindness Rock, I don't know, fairies or gnomes or I don't know, wizards in our neighborhood. They're absolutely everywhere. I know who they are, but they want to remain anonymous. And it just has like made, you know, all we have to do is go outside and walk around our neighborhood, and finding these little stones has really made everybody's day. We have a Facebook group, and people have started taking pictures and posting like, oh, I found this rock today. I found this rock today. Check this one out. And it's really brought our neighborhood together in that way. And so I think expanding that beyond what's already been done and then making it an East Lansing and community thing is wonderful. So I just wanted to support that proposal as well. I think it's a wonderful idea. So I just wanted to make sure I got those two things in there. Thank you.
Can I ask a question? What happens? How do we let these people know the situation? Heather, is that something you do? And then in light of that, like, what will Diane be given feedback regarding what the, you know, what the situ is, and she is able to reapply for the second grant cycle if she so wishes?
Yes. So based on whatever your decision is, I reach out to each applicant, whether they got any money, more money, less money, anything, and let them know the update. I'll also reach out to the two people who had the late applications, and I'll give them an update about that too. And if they are not funded, I'll tell them why. Succinctly, I won't go into too many details unless they ask, but in the case of Diane, I would encourage her to apply again with a more concrete idea that focuses on the community aspect of it, maybe some demographic information.
I teach at Stepping Stones. There are, I would say, the majority of kids. Are there kids from other communities? Yes, but majority of kids are local. Many kids can walk to the school right on Beach Street. And Diane does a lot of phenomenal things. She really does. Her head and her heart are in the right place. I think this would be a phenomenal thing for the kids who are involved in the percussion group. But if we're looking for major impact, right, when we're looking at the purpose of the grants, I see everybody's you know, hesitation. So if if the feedback could be given to say, you know, how is maybe focus on the outreach, because again, if she's going to reach out to the East Lansing public school system, these I don't know the price of instruments, but these seem quite expensive. Maybe the public school system doesn't have these treasures, and they would welcome, you know, some sort of facilitation between, you know, Diane and the music teachers. I have no idea, but maybe we do need a little bit more information that way.
Yeah. And then in the case of Susan, if you did reduce the amount. If you wanted to fund the specific portion that Abby suggested, I would tell her that and tell her why the full amount wasn't awarded. I was also already thinking I've got a couple ideas of outdoor drive-in opportunities for her that I would also share. So I'll work with the applicants and try to help them out a little bit.
Great.
And I will say, Abby, thank you for speaking up on the Kindness Rocks thing, because to tell you the truth, I read that application and I thought, okay, one of the criteria is artistic merit. And I'm not sure I see that in this project. It's more of a craft. And yeah, do you have a thought on that, Abby?
No, other than it's it's artistic merit is that literally anyone in the community can be an artist in this project.
Yeah. And just the warm and fuzziness of it is,
yeah, I think
turns me to appreciate it.
Particularly in this year. Yeah.
Yeah. So how does everybody feel if we fund 15% of everybody except for the Stepping Stones project?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I support it.
Yeah.
I would just say, yeah, if we, I wouldn't necessarily encourage Stepping Stones. After listening to our conversation, I wouldn't encourage them to comply back in February. I think that might be a waste of their time. But next year, for sure.
Okay, well, I move we fund everybody at 15% except for the Stepping Stones project.
I'm going
Yeah,
to
not everybody is at 15%. Yeah.
I'm going to ask that you adjust your motion in 1 second, though. I want to share the total, and I want to clarify with the film festival. So 15% is 1,628. Is that the amount or the 1,600 that Abby suggested?
The 1628 is what I would propose.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
I would propose to, yep.
Which is a total of 8,803. And I guess it's up to you how specific you want your motion to be, but I can share my screen and you can say exactly how much dollars each one gets, or you can just do a total. It's up to you.
Well, did everybody else ask for specifically 15%? Was it exactly?
No.
Oh,
okay. We have 15%, 23%, 2%, 4.8%. So it's all different.
Oh, I gotcha.
Yep. So I would move that we fund the Lake Michigan Film Festival of $1,628. The East Lansing Arts Festival, $3,000. The East Lansing Public Library, $300. All of Us Children's Express was $3,575, and the Kindness Rocks Project, $300. Did I get those right, Heather?
Yep, that looks right.
Second.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
I'm raising my elbow.
All those opposed? Okay. All right, Heather, what does that leave us for the second grant cycle?
So, hang on, I gotta redo my math.
I think it's $9,197, isn't it? Oh, no.
So it's 17,500 minus 8,803. So $8,697.
It's a good chunk.
Yeah, almost half. So.
Let me ask you this really quick. What happens if a second grant cycle comes and we have only a couple of applications and we don't, that are not asking for the full amount of 6,000 or 8,697? Does that money disappear? Can that money carry over to next year? Will it be taken away because, it won't
be taken away. I would advocate, and I think Jessie's not still on this call, but I think she would advocate for it too, to roll over to the next year.
Okay.
I think that the case we have going for us is that it is COVID and so many things are uncertain.
I totally agree.
And 3 of our usual applicants did not apply because they're rolling their funds over into the next year. So I think we have a pretty strong case to keep the money just hanging out in our bank account. But
yeah,
I don't know. I do think that we can do a better job of getting the information out to others about the second grant cycle. I know that it was in the Arts Council newsletter several times, but I think I know I'll work harder to get it out. So maybe more people will see it this time.
The other thing I thought of is, what about if for the second round, Susan comes back and wants funding for a different part of the film festival, or Heather comes back and wants funding for a different part of the arts festival. It's just something to think about. Do you want to allow that?
I was going to revise the guidelines with, if you received a 2021 grant already, you cannot receive another one, and then bring it to you for approval in December.
But I'm going to play devil's advocate just because that's what I've done all my life as a journalist. And that may be very, very well and good, but I was just thinking, if you do have money left over and there's a legit second project from the Arts or Film Festival or All of Us Express, is that a bad thing to use up the entire $17,500? My concern is, will City Council maybe not give $17,500 next year if you don't spend it all this year?
That was my concern
about that
as well. And yet at the same time, I feel like because it's COVID, I just feel like we waved the COVID flag. Because I do feel like the world is absolutely upside down and some people can't even get out of bed and they're worried about putting food on the table, let alone writing an arts grant.
Right.
So,
and remember too here, I mean, this with the old one of the old iterations of city council, or the iteration of city council with its handful of member changes, was totally opposed under Mark Meadows, was opposed to any increase. At least that was who I'm pretty sure that's who they always alluded to. They never say who. But then it was Aaron and Jesse and someone else. I'm trying to draw a blank on who encouraged the increase. So I don't know. I don't feel like, we have that sort of same fiscal hard cases that have been there historically, at least right now. Maybe they'll be back.
What it's worth, I think it was Ruth Bayer and Eric Altman that opposed the increase, not Mark Meadows.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh.
So at any rate, I just wanted to bring that up just to make sure that you're comfortable with that.
Consider.
We can put it on the agenda for December to discuss the details, and then we can release the grant after that.
We can also work our butts off to make sure we get lots of applicants so we can use that money.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that only gives 2 people to write a grant application, or 2 months rather, to write a grant application. Is that enough, or since it was a problem this last time?
We could. So the motion was to have it due in February.
And I thought the word would go out right away, but now you're saying maybe delaying until December.
I can put the word out right away, but then you would have to give me the autonomy to update the guidelines, which is fine.
I'm okay with doing that.
I'm okay with, I support that as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think there's also a possibility there are a lot of people out there who might have started the grant application or who are hearing back from other grants. So it wouldn't necessarily be starting from scratch with this round of applications.
Okay. All right. Yep. I'll update that next week and get it out November 30th. Then. Yeah.
Could I also just to put in the minutes, and I apologize if this actually came up when we were discussing like approving the new language for the application, but I realized as I was going through this that we updated language in the application about diversity, equity, and inclusion, but we did not reflect that anywhere in our score sheets. And I can't remember if that was discussed. And it's obviously not something to be changed right now, but just something for us to marinate on for the future, unless someone can tell me like, oh no, Abby, we talked about that and we shut it down, remember?
It was not talked about, and it's because I did not include that with the guidelines. I didn't realize that we had anything like that until Wendy and I were brainstorming a couple weeks ago about how the grant process could go. So
cool. So
I wonder if that could be
something
a
to
bonus.
consider for the future.
Yep.
Yeah, and maybe it could be a bonus points kind of thing. Or
Oh yeah, because there's
the
the other like 5 points.
Right.
I just feel like if this is going to be a focus of the commission,
Yeah.
it should have its own slot in the score sheet.
And I'm glad you brought that up, Abby, because as I was reading the applications, I was impressed that All of Us Express made the point about the LGBTQ. And now I'm trying to remember, I don't know if I saw that in any diversity thing in any of the other applications.
I think everybody, Stepping
Oh,
Stone
okay.
did, the Arts Festival did. No, I think everybody did. I think everybody
Okay.
saw that and took it to heart.
My memory is shot, and that's why I'm retiring from the East Lansing Arts Commission.
No.
Oh, Megan.
We'll miss you regardless.
All right.
So
So
sorry, did we voted? We're good. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
there's
I'm
a
forgetting.
motion on the table. I don't think there was a vote.
Do we? Oh, was
Oh,
there?
I think we
do
did
have a
vote.
second.
We did. We all raised our hands.
Oh yeah, we did. That's
I
right.
must have been taking notes.
Okay, your memories are shot too.
Moving on.
Golly.
Oh wait,
Okay.
do we need to make a motion and vote to have Heather just go ahead with it with the change that anyone who's received one already cannot reapply?
That would be, it's not, I don't think necessary, but it would be official if we wanted to do that. Or not, that's fine.
If it's not necessary, I don't want to vote more than necessary.
Sorry, I was gonna say yes, except for she's screaming. I would motion to allow Heather to make the necessary changes to the application so that we can hit the ground running and give people the most time for February.
Would second.
Thank you, Matt.
I think like Cecilia
Hey,
second to
all,
that.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Great. All those opposed? Okay. All right, we are done with cultural art grants, correct? Anything else that
Correct.
we need to touch base on? No, okay. Getting down to the end, we've got the greetings tour mural, first round of edits, feedback requested. Heather, where do we need to, are we just approving what the final?
Oh, there it is.
We're taking a look at it. Justin, could you share the image from the larger, the slideshow? Because they changed the background, and so they need approval on the background first. Nope, keep going. This one, yep. So originally you had approved like the asymmetrical angled tree line, but they thought that it might look better if it was straight because it's already not a straight line.
Yep.
So they wanted your feedback on that.
Straight line's much better.
Okay. All right. And then the other thing is, like the memo said, we did get permission from the artist for Mary P. Sharp. He was very excited. And then he wants to come to the ribbon cutting, so we have to have a ribbon cutting. And then I really enjoyed my conversations with the, I think he's the chair of the board of the Nokomis Heritage Center in Okemos. John. He taught me quite a bit about the local tribe culture. Ojibwe is our local tribe. So this is because I thought it was interesting, so I just wanted to share it with you. So before there were teepees in the image of the LAN, and he said that that's fine because So they did use teepees when they traveled, but they didn't travel often. So teepees are more of a Plains Native American house. So what they typically used in Michigan would be wigwams, more stationary buildings. And then there's a woman in one of the images that is wearing a headdress. So he said that that would be something that would not be worn every day. It would be worn on special occasions, like you get dressed up for church. But the board discussed that, and they liked that it was in this image because it showed the local beading artistry that they did and how important that was to their culture, is to their culture. And then he really liked that the canoe was in the image. He thought that was a really good depiction of who they are as a tribe. And then we talked about them as rice gatherers. So there is a story that they tell about coming. They knew that they could come to Michigan, that they would be safe because they would always be fed. And that is because there's a lot of marshy lands here that have, a lot of it's been filled in, partly because Lansing is here. But originally there was a lot of marshy lands that had rice on it. So they were rice gatherers. And so you'll see in the bottom of the N that there is a rice gathering basket and 2 rice sticks. So they kind of, I'm not going to pretend to know how they do it, but they use those 2 sticks to gather the rice and get it into the canoes as they roll along in the marshes. So anyway, I shared this image with him. He has not responded to me about it, but it's exactly what we discussed. So I think that would be, this is something that the Ojibwe tribe would think is a proper representation of them. I also, because he was so excited that they were a part of it, invited them to do a land acknowledgement as a part of the ribbon cutting. And they were very excited about that prospect as well. John said that he would probably end up asking one of the elders to do that. So
great.
They were excited that this was a part of the mural. So thank you for that. But so those are the changes to the LAN. Those are the changes to the background. And for the artist, they just need to know any changes that you have, any questions or anything like that. And the art selection panel is meeting again on Monday to review the same image. So they'll have any feedback too for the artist. But again, it is exactly what they discussed at their last meeting as well. So we do have one more round of changes that we can make without having to pay additional money.
I have a quick question, and I've argued myself back and forth on this. Do we like the black squirrel on top of the L because it's on top of the L, the first letter of Lansing? Or is it a little too close to greetings from, and should it be moved to the A on the bigger platform? Anybody have a feeling on that?
Wow, yeah, okay.
I just don't want him to get lost. He's adorbs and a big part of East Lansing. I don't want him to get lost in the shuffle. I want to keep it on the L, but I just want to push him over a smidge.
Wow, Wendy, I'm surprised that you think that squirrel is male.
Well, I want to push them all the time. They antagonize me and my dog. Okay, so, and I actually saw one, not a black squirrel because they're very svelte, but I saw one of the brown gray ones eating pizza in the street.
Just like in New York.
They were just like, I'm having pizza. You go around me.
Yeah,
anyway,
exactly. Keep on moving.
What do you guys think? Moving it to the A.
Is that a bad idea?
No, I hadn't thought about it, but I see how that might draw more focal attention to the squirrel.
Do you guys want me to mock that up real quick and send it to everybody in an email? Because
Oh my God, could you really do that?
Yeah.
What do you think, Austin?
So guys, I have a question too, Austin, before you do that. So is the squirrel, Heather, thank you for that beautiful explanation of your conversation with that was very, very beautiful. And I appreciate all the detail in the LAN now. So with all that being said, is it disrespectful to have the squirrel there? Should he be on the S?
Oh.
I don't know.
They didn't say anything about the squirrel being.
You didn't mind the squirrel? Okay.
No.
Were there black squirrels then? When did they come into existence?
I don't view this squirrel being part of those images at all, though, to be honest with you. You know, I feel like he's on top and apart from the image. If he were smack dab in the letters, different story, but on top of the letters.
So to echo what Karen said, thank you so much, Heather, for taking the initiative to reach out to the local tribe and get their feedback on this. That was so important and something that I hadn't thought of doing. So thank you, thank you, thank you. You're of great value to the City of East Lansing and the Arts Commission for doing that.
It was definitely my pleasure.
I was going to ask too, was that artistic accuracy conveyed to the artists too? Because I know like the render and the actual mural can like differ. So I'd want to make sure that the rice sticks in the basket and everything, you know, carried over if that's of significance.
Yeah, I did relay it via email, but I asked before that if we could have a conversation about it. So then John had shared images from the museum with me so that I could share them with the artist as well. So he was very intentional about the items and the shape of them and the look of the materials as well.
Are we waiting on mock-up?
Yeah, the squirrel is moving, but not very fast.
It's unusual. Has anyone noticed that the squirrels are especially chunky this year because they
my God.
warmer weather to eat all the things?
I'm feeding half of them in the city, so
I'm feeding the
my
other.
chagrin.
My neighbors are feeding all of the ones in Lansing. So many peanuts in my yard.
Oh no.
They finally have been able to bite into the pumpkins that we have out on display. You know, the cold weather kind of softened them up, and it's hilarious. You know, you see the squirrel with like their whole body except, you know, their behind sticking out of.
We had to do 2
pumpkins.
rounds of jack-o'-lanterns this year because of the squirrels.
Are you sure it wasn't deer?
I am sure there was one night that we had a deer, and I only know that because I have a Ring camera and the deers set them off, so I get a recording of that. The squirrels do not, and the squirrels decimated those pumpkins. And the deer came for the leftovers.
Well, and Abby, by the way, thank you for suggesting the Native American heritage as part of the mural in the first place, because I would have never, I was totally unaware of that. I'm sorry to say.
No, kudos to MSU and the work they've done with their land grant acknowledgement. That's what brought it to my attention. And then kudos also to Heather for grabbing that racing stick and running with it and bringing it to fruition.
All right, it's sent.
Okay.
I just sent it on the chain, but I put the squirrel on the A. So.
Oh, you're good. Justin, are you able to grab that, or how are we?
I'm looking in my email.
If I get it to come through.
It's refreshing, like, well, there it is.
Oh yeah, there it is.
You know what, Wendy? Yeah.
It is more noticeable.
Yeah, on the A, it's definitely more noticeable. I mean, even when we first saw the mural, I had to look back and I was like, oh, there's a squirrel on the L. How cool. So, I mean, it's the value of, oh, there's a squirrel, or you look at the mural and then you see the squirrel. Like, is it more valuable as a surprise or not?
There it is.
I think it makes, on the A, it makes him look more active too. Like he's going from letter to letter.
Yeah.
I kind of agree. Yeah. I think if I'm looking, I pick the A.
I like the A too.
I'm glad we're here for the important changes and decisions
This is critical.
that are going to affect East Lansing for years to come.
The face.
No, but though, had we not done it, every time I drive by, I'd be like, oh, why didn't I say?
I have no
Thank you,
opinion.
Austin.
If the artist has a compelling reason for putting it on the
Keep it
L,
there, yeah.
I would go with the artist, but otherwise I don't have an opinion.
Yeah, I agree with Megan. Megan, sorry.
He does look like King Kong on the A though, doesn't he?
You think?
Dude, totally.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right. So, Heather, can you take that info back to the artist?
Yes, I can do that. And I can also use Austin's image to share it with the art selection panel.
Oh, cool. That's great. Austin, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Austin.
Yeah, thank you,
Super
Austin.
tricky and super fast. Yeah. All right. Moving right along, we are back to, oh boy. Oh, here we are. I think we have a quick recap, right? Is there anything else we need to discuss about the mural? Oh, wait. We need to vote on said mural, don't we? Or no? Do we need a motion or anything?
You don't need to
This is
vote.
just
no.
feedback. Okay. So are we to the point of a recap? Are we all good with everything else? Okay. Bottom line, we have 2 board positions for the Arts Commission, possibly one for the Arts Commission, one for the Arts Selection Panel. Pincana is continuing. No new news there, waiting for the applications to come in December. Center City, The Corridor by Barrios Tacos. A new show will be going up in that display case at Thanksgiving. Broad has a new exhibition coming called Seeds of Resistance. Art Festival has currently 60 applications, more to come. They are doing a drive-through pickup this weekend at Valley Court with Pop-Up Market with 3 vendors. The budget is, our commission budget is growing. That is good news. We approved the grants. We decided on the grants that came in, and we also decided to have a second grant cycle in February, and we reviewed the greeting store mural. So I think that was about the extent of it. Did I miss anything?
Excellent job, Wendy.
Good
I'm impressed.
job, really.
Whoa.
That was very succinct.
Speedy Gonzalez. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for your time. Do we have a motion to adjourn our meeting?
Move to adjourn. Abby Taikaki moves to adjourn.
All right. Do we have a second?
Second.
I'll do it. Oh, no, Austin can do it. Sorry.
But it is your
Second.
birthday. Happy birthday, Ted. I hope it's a great,
Happy birthday,
great night
Ted.
and a great weekend.
It's been great. Thank you, guys.
Everyone have a safe Thanksgiving.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
And you all
Stay
too.
safe. Be careful. All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Take
Bye,
care.
everybody.
Do we need to vote on adjournment?
Bye.
Hello. Do we
Oh,
need to vote?
hi.
No? We're okay. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey.